All set. Go ahead.
Okay.
Good.
So good evening. This is the March 16th meeting of the CIP Subcommittee of the Full Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee to the Town Council of Barnstable. We're meeting tonight to go over an initial draft of our report on the capital improvement plan and the 5-year capital budget. Should we take attendance? I'll take attendance. Chuck?
Here.
Wendy?
Here.
Lillian?
Yep, sort of.
Okay, so we're all here, the 4 subcommittee members. So we have a quorum. We're of course accompanied by Mark Milne, Town Finance Director. So I want to be sure that we're working from version 3A, which I circulated at 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. Does everybody have that?
Yeah, if you just want to share screen, we can
I
begin
will.
doing that.
I will. Okay. So where's the documents? There it is. How do I share? All right, there we go. All right. So I would propose, unless someone has a different idea, has introductory remarks, that we just go page by page.
That's a good plan.
Okay. So page 1 is what it is.
I approve of this page.
Sorry.
This page is perfect.
All right. Page
Okay.
2, Chuck very kindly agreed to draft not 1, but 2 sections.
Right.
Actually 3 sections of this document. So I'm going to make comments from the printed version, which I have on the desk in front of me, and I don't have any comments on this page. We may have to tweak some of the language in the introductory and concluding sections after we finish writing some of the other sections. But
how do you want to do this? Because I've got some comments of this section.
so
About the format, about the order of some of the narrative.
well, why don't you broach them? But I think that if everybody is okay with each person's comments, I'm happy to try to make edits right on the screen.
That sounds great.
as we go through it.
And Chuck, I have my Oxford University Press editor hat on right now, and so if you disagree, please jump right in. That second paragraph, it says this review was conducted by CFAC CIP subcommittee, and was approved rather than is endorsed.
Fine by me.
Is that okay?
Next.
I assume you can hear me?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yep.
Chuck,
So
we
it's
can hear
fine by
you.
me. Yep.
Okay. The next paragraph, it says CFAC members have been invited to observe the first review session, and then I have of the CIP task force, because you didn't identify what it was.
Yep. Yep.
And we could actually start the sentence with for several years, but I'm just sort of nitpicking here. It's up to you.
So I can make editorial decisions on the fly.
Yeah, you don't need a
if
comma.
If anybody objects, please
Yeah, you
speak
don't.
up.
Right, you don't need a comma after years.
Okay.
And then
Right.
I go nuts. Here's what I do next. Because Chuck is talking about the task force, I get rid of the rest of that paragraph. And then I start with the next paragraph, which says, yeah, take away all that because it comes back later.
Okay.
And then I go through CFAC recognizes the annual process.
Why not commends?
The annual process, period.
Why not use and commends? Recognizes and commends.
Recognize, yeah, and the process, period.
Okay.
Because we and then I get rid of the rest of that sentence.
Okay. So your changes are going to result in shortening this
Yeah.
introductory section?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Good. I think
okay. Now
levity is a
I get
virtue.
rid of the rest of that sentence.
So this goes up after task force?
Right, right.
Okay.
But don't do that just yet, because it's a lot that goes up after task force.
Okay.
But come back to employed and get rid of the rest of this.
Delete the rest of this paragraph?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So this task force, this paragraph and this paragraph, we're considering deleting these. And I'm just going to
wait.
I'm just going to I'm going to color them for now, but I'm not going to delete them quite yet.
Okay. What I do then is I say, okay, let's see, because I really messed with it. Okay, let's leave this robust. Let's leave the rest of that paragraph and the rest of that next paragraph and then next paragraph.
Okay. So Lillian, your concept recognizes and commends the annual process. What's the
Right.
next sentence or the next paragraph?
The next sentence is this robust, take all that
Yeah.
and all the rest, all the way down through town council. Take it all the way back down.
Okay. So you want me to move this up here?
Right?
Okay. And I'm going to get rid of the coloring once we're done, but on
Okay,
its merits, transparent, interactive setting.
right.
And then next paragraph,
The
this
next
one?
paragraph then follows users. Yeah. And the next of it.
And the bullets.
Yeah. And then the last of it.
Okay,
After
hold on one
evaluating.
second. Hold on, let me just move this up here. Okay, and then,
Okay, and
and
then,
then what about this?
yeah,
All of this and all of these bullets, move these
all
up?
these bullets and all of that down to town council.
Okay,
Okay, now take all that way up.
yeah, Chuck,
You've
are
got
you
it doubled
okay?
there, Hector.
Are you okay with this wholesale editing?
I'm fine with it, but you've got it doubled there.
And at the end,
Oh, sorry, yeah,
yeah. Have you,
okay, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cancel that. And then you want me to move up this section,
yep, yeah,
This-
everything.
this section,
Yep, all that.
Control X.
Now you've got it tripled.
Yeah, now you got too much.
All right. Okay, initial presentation.
Right.
All right,
Wait, you've got too many initial presentations now.
okay, I deleted one of them now.
Yeah.
All right, so help me out with this. After his recommendations to the town council, what goes up next? This section?
Now we go back to what Chuck said in the third paragraph, which was CFAC members attending this session noted the rigorous and thorough review across departments and their focus on optimizing blah, 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 blah.
Okay. New paragraph.
Optimizing the critical balance between delivering meaningful services and benefits to town residents and managing costs
Okay.
funded by taxpayers,
Okay.
but getting rid of the word ultimately. Right here. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So we have, you want me to delete this robust, this yellow
Where did
section
we
here?
put the robust?
We moved it somewhere else, right? Or did
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Chuck, have we used this section somewhere else yet? This robust collaborative?
So if we
Well,
can,
that's fine to keep it there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
but I think Hector, what you need to do is after you get rid of the highlights,
Yeah.
the next paragraph that starts initial presentations and
Yeah.
all the bullets, just delete all that
Yeah.
because you've already got it.
Okay.
So
That's
just get rid
deleted.
of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And
And
then
now
after
we've got-
evaluating, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I think if I'm hearing Lillian right, we can get rid of that first highlighted sentence because we already have it.
Exactly. What I did was bring it back down after you had described the process
Okay.
to provide our input, what we felt was the process. Okay, and then we go to this town manager.
Yeah. Wait 1 second. I just want to get rid of this section, which we've duplicated.
And you can
Okay.
get rid of that. You can get rid of that paragraph too. The one.
The
go
yellow,
back.
the yellow shaded paragraph.
No,
delete that?
the one below it. We already have that.
Okay.
Yeah,
You can get rid
there
of
you
that
go.
one too.
Okay. And then,
Yeah.
Okay.
and this yellow shaded paragraph we keep, right?
I think so.
Okay. All right. I'll look at it. I'm going to leave this yellow for now. I'll reread this when we're done. Why don't we just move on? Right over.
Okay. The paragraph that starts a 5-year period ending 2028
Yeah.
is the town's largest CIP category. And what I did, because someone told me that brevity is right next to godliness, I got rid of the first part of the next sentence, which is, I deleted, given the enormity of the sewer undertaking we expect.
Yeah.
And so we start with CIP will most likely continue to dominate the town's capital improvement plan for years to come.
You want to put in that hedging language? I mean, I think it's I don't think it's, maybe this is a question for Mark, but I don't
Well-
think we need to hedge that. It's going to continue to
So
dominate.
yeah, sure, we don't need to hedge it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then the rest.
Could I interject a question? Chuck, you use this word rolled up recommendations,
He likes
rolled up. What is meant by that?
Oh, sorry. That's old investment lingo. So rolled up basically means totaled over 5 years. So
Okay.
So if
I
we,
guess you could just get rid of rolled up.
Yeah.
so could we just say aggregate 5-year recommendations?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. E.B. White would have been proud of us.
Right.
Recommendation increase more 70 million for fiscal years. Do we? All right, go ahead. All right, next.
And the last paragraph, I got rid of the word consideration in the second line of the last paragraph.
Okay. Funding for funding. Okay.
Yeah. I just tightened it up a bit.
Yeah. I think that's good. I thought Chuck was quite tight, but I think you
Yeah, he was, Chuck is really good, but
Yeah,
we need to tighten this up a little
I'm
bit.
learning
Anyway,
at the, I'm
I thought it
learning
was a
at the
good
knee
job.
of masters here. Okay, go ahead.
That's all I've got.
Okay.
I
All
don't know
right.
if I can
All right,
face
what
Chuck
I'm
again.
gonna do after we finish each section is I'm gonna print it and review it and make any sort of, chief editor comments, or changes based on my review of the document, and you guys can have another go at it when I circulate a version 4.
Yeah, I
that-
think,
Is
I
that
thi- I
okay
think-
with
I think
everybody?
that's good.
Okay,
that sounds good, but I
Yeah,
do think
send
that,
it. Yeah, send it to us, please.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna
In case we screwed up.
I will. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Chuck,
you-
what were you
no,
saying?
you're gonna need to do that because we don't have to micromanage this now, but now the way it's written, some of the carry-on sentences refer to something that's no longer in the sentence before,
Okay.
so, and you'll
Yeah.
see that when you go through it, so.
Okay, I'll fix that then.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
And then, so we're good with the introductory section. It finishes now town council appropriation.
yeah, I thought it was a good job.
Okay,
Now it comes to the bear. I think we can, again, I'm going to use my little editor hat.
okay,
Implementing doesn't need to be there. I think what we can say is the CWMP remains a primary focus by the town of Barnstable.
I want to keep in the phrase infrastructure because that's what it is.
No,
Okay. Sorry,
Rem-
lost you.
remains, that's fine, remains a primary infrastructure focus rather than undertaking.
Well,
but
it's, yeah, again, focus is sort of a vague word. This is an undertaking. This is a series of major projects. And I kind of like that phrase, infrastructure undertaking. So I'd vote to keep that.
Okay. And I would get rid of ever for and substitute by.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
And one of the things I've done in here is I've stopped using CWMP every time we refer to it. I've inserted the word sewers in a few places. And I realize the project encompasses more than just sewers, but that's the primary activity. So I did that purposefully. Anyway, go ahead, Lillian or Chuck or Wendy. Wendy, are you still there?
I'm still
Okay.
here. I just got a
Okay.
glass of water. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
What I did where you have approving budgetary requirements
Yeah.
and determining appropriate funding,
Sources. Yeah.
I reworded it a little bit.
Okay.
Approval of CWMP construction projects and funding of these projects will require major capital investments over its projected 30-year plan. Then that's one sentence. Possible sources of funding include, and then I go through your
Right.
yeah. And then instead of prospective debt exclusion, I put down a possible debt exclusion override.
Is that a capital O? Yeah.
As to our, yeah. Okay, did you, so basically what I said was,
So the new sentence is here. So I'm going to preserve that language and go ahead. Tell me what you just said.
okay, approval of CWMP construction projects and funding of these projects will require major capital investments over.
Okay, hold on one second. And funding of CWE, I was collapsing your sentence a little bit.
Construction projects
Will
over. No, what I said was approval of the projects and the funding of these projects will require major capital investments over its projected 30-year plan. Capital investments over its projected 30-year plan, period. And then possible sources of funding include, and then I use all your stuff.
Possible funding
Sources include, yeah.
include.
yeah, and then we'll pick
Should
up.
we turn these into bullets to call them out?
No, not necessary.
Okay. Include
And then just pick up your general fund.
the
Blah, blah, blah.
towns. Wait a second. General fund.
And a period after override.
Okay.
Okay. The second paragraph is okay.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yep.
In the middle of that first paragraph.
Yep.
Approval and funding of a CWMP construction project require major capital investments over its projected 30-year life. Do we make, my recollection, and Mark or somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, is it's not just the 30-year life of the project, but there's also the life of debt that needs to be paid to fund this, which I thought was another 30 years, potentially. Does that need to be included anywhere, or because that's not a project expense, it's a finance expense, it's not necessary to, just to convey that it's actually going to be longer than the 30-year life of the project itself that's going to impact town finances.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just saving this document as a new version while you're talking. Chuck, will you run that by me once again?
I'm just asking. I'm not sure if Mark's still on or not, but my recollection is that there was the potential that basically in year 29, you could make the decision in year 30 of the project to issue another 30-year bond to cover expenses in year 30, which would basically make the funding implications for the project 60 years, not 30.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, right.
And I don't know if that needs to be included here, or because this is focused on the project as opposed to financing,
Yeah.
that it's fine the way it is.
I think it's a good point. I think we confuse people if we start talking 30 years and then 60 years. That point about the tail of the bond issuance in the 30th year of this project being paid off 30 years subsequent is made in the CIP document. It's a good point, but maybe there's another point at which we can inject that as a caveat or as a footnote.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I agree that that's a good point. And this 30 year that we're talking about is specifically, I think, the construction itself.
Right.
So we can come back and revisit that one.
Would you might want to just have the approval and funding of the CWMP and after the word investments, period. Since you already mentioned a 30-year life.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And then you're not tied down. You're not
just
tied down to any specific period of time. So after investments, just get rid of that over its projected 30-year life.
That's a good change.
Okay.
So there's a period after investment. And then get rid of the rest. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, good.
That's a good suggestion.
Good. Okay.
That makes it. The second paragraph is good. The third paragraph, I just deleted by far, just to be succinct.
Okay,
I added one more sentence to that paragraph.
after Lake Wakaka.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It will also require installation of at least 5 new sewer pump stations.
Anything else besides the 5 new sewer pump stations?
No,
that's-
then I brought in that part that you had from page 72. I dragged it up there. And basically what page 72 says is, so that comes at coordination with Park City Wind construction will
Yeah.
result in cost savings, efficiencies, and decreased disturbances for the town.
Okay,
And I put that right after the pump station
okay.
thing.
So I see why you're suggesting that,
Yeah,
but down below, I'm contrasting 2 statements by the town, which
yeah.
are inherently contradictory, and I'd rather leave them
Well,
close together.
our job is to review the town manager's recommendations. So anyway, that's my comment on it.
Okay, well, let me just make a note
Yeah.
here.
See if you want to,
Yeah, so let me,
in a short new
move
paragraph,
up.
that page 72 quote.
72 quote with a question mark. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll review that.
Okay. Now what I did with the other, moving on as indicated. Okay, what I did is I got rid of as indicated above. At the, yeah, right here.
Why?
Because it's not necessary.
Because we've already stated it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna highlight this
just-
and consider deleting it. I want to reread it. Okay,
Well,
Go ahead.
whatever you want to do.
okay,
And instead of is poised,
yeah,
will take up. Will take up. Just get rid of is poised and use the word will.
oh, so you're suggesting keep up
Yeah.
CWMP will take up.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm suggesting.
okay, let me just,
I'm just tightening it up a
Yeah.
little.
I like poised. I think that's but all right. It's got a little
Well,
life to it.
it's-
Otherwise,
it's the
it sounds
author's-
like bureaucraties. CWMP will take up. I've already got that. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, actually, I got rid of the next paragraph.
All right. So this is, I think it's important, when I actually went through the document and refreshed my memory, what we're trying to get rid of. We're trying to get rid of nitrogen from the salt water, phosphorus from the fresh water, and we're also trying to protect our drinking water. So my vote would be to leave in. This italicized section, frankly, is crucial to what comes below.
I agree. I agree with the italicized section.
Okay.
I don't agree that we urge them to do this because they're already doing it.
Well, I think we're calling into question whether they're making decisions based on the greatest need, or by contrast, they're deciding to tag along with the roots of the wind power project. That's the whole point of my comment here.
Well, I've sat in on these meetings for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can assure you that DPW and the town are very aware, and they weigh all the decisions very carefully.
Mhm.
So I don't question their continuing evaluation of the sewer projects.
Okay,
And
And that-
I'm not sure any of us who sit here have the day-to-day data. So I don't want to call into question their competency and their decisions.
I sort of agree with Lillian in the sense that I don't think it's our
That's
Our
not our
job-
job. That's not our job.
to decide the route. It's just to explain the funding and how the financing will happen.
Okay, I'm not proposing to decide the routes. All I'm saying is that the town, Griffin Bowden and other DPW people, they say different things at different times about why they're aligning the sewer routes with the cable routes.
No,
and
that's a different issue altogether.
Well,
That's a different issue altogether.
okay, but I think, we're commenting on the biggest infrastructure capital investment plan undertaking, that's my word, ever undertaken by the town. And I think it's completely within our bailiwick to comment on the investment decisions and to emphasize that the investment decisions need to, in the first instance, be geared to the areas of greatest need. And then, so I think it's completely within the pale for us to raise that as an issue. I'm not questioning their competence. I'm simply asking that CFAC, again, re-emphasize, and some of this emphasis comes from listening to Wendy talk about, what's going on in the western part of town, and why isn't the western part of town, where there's a real need for protection of the bays and the ponds, the western part of the town seems to be getting a little bit short shrift. So I think my contention is that it's completely within our jurisdiction to point out that the most important criterion has to be targeting areas of greatest need.
Well, why don't we say that CFAC supports the town and DPW in determining the most important criteria? I don't want to call into question their competence, in other
And
words.
we're not doing that.
Yeah, yes, you are. I'm looking at it and I'm feeling uncomfortable with it.
Okay, I hear you on the lack of comfort.
Yeah,
But
because
this is,
that's not our job is not to call them on their competence.
again, I'm not questioning their competence.
Right.
I'm just emphasizing the criteria that they should be, the most important criterion, and then some other factors. I'm just re-emphasizing those and their importance. So
Why don't we say that CFAC continues to support the most important criteria for CWMP based on the greatest need?
I'm sorry, run that by me one more time. I'm just putting in some.
Oh, I was
just
just rattling it off the top of
Yeah,
my head.
Okay. Okay, well,
Hector,
Yeah.
if I'm hearing this right, Hector, the punchline is in that paragraph.
Yeah.
The non-italicized sentence
That's
could be
correct.
viewed negatively. And so we should just soften the non italicized sentence to say that, we are supportive, that they continue to blah, 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 blah.
Yes, just get rid of the non-italicized part.
This part.
Yes, this part.
Okay. Well, give me some sample language that I could substitute, and I'll type it up here and then think about it. How
Come
about
on,
that?
Chuck.
Well, okay.
Well,
CFAC. Oh, sorry.
how about all right. Well,
CFAC supports the town management's, continued evaluation of sewer projects across a range of criteria,
Yes,
okay.
which suggests that they're already doing it, and we think it's important, and
Yes.
doesn't call into question whether or how they're doing it, but does
Correct.
then enable you to make the points you want to make in the italicized piece.
right.
So you basically, you could just leave everything.
How about that? How about what I did to the first sentence there? Does that go part of the way to what
Supports the town's continued management.
urges town management to continue? So this is continue. Urges
I'm actually
town.
fine with what you did.
Okay.
I think it softened it,
Okay.
and it speaks about what they're doing in the present tense as opposed to in the future wish tense.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But I recognize,
I thought we're getting rid of this careful evaluation. We're getting rid of most of that non-italicized part. Or did I misunderstand this?
No,
I think Chuck,
the only word that's still in there that I would probably drop is carefully.
Yeah, get to continue. I'm not sure we need that over this planning horizon.
Yep, that's fair.
all right. And
How about the CFAC supports
all right, CFAC supports
town management's
town management's
continued evaluation, continued evaluation of sewer projects across a range of criteria. Projects across a range of criteria. That softens it a lot.
Okay. All right.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
We made the point, though. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple later on that I thought were a little more in your face than that one. So I'll be interested in what Lillian.
Okay.
Well, you know what I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, let's have at it. These other critical factors. Some of these are lifted from last year's, and I've turned them into plain English.
Those are all fine, really.
Yeah, I added
stay
in
pretty
local
much
meal
the
and room
same.
tax. I brought up the debt exclusion, and I want to, when we get to that, I want to feel out the subcommittee on whether we should put in a plug for debt exclusion or explain that. But at any rate, those bullets are okay with everybody?
Yeah, those are fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Sewer capital spending. What I did was to delete from the power cables of the 3 projects to the end of that paragraph, because I don't think that's necessary. line 2, at the end of line 2, starting with the power cables.
Yeah, I hear you.
We don't need to do that, yes.
Well, I'm gonna highlight it and make a note that, but again, what we're doing for the reader is describing in very abbreviated form what the 3 projects do. They land on 3 Barnstable beaches, and then this is a huge undertaking, these concrete conduits that are going under the roads, through neighborhoods, through downtowns. I think it illustrates, it shows for the reader the magnitude of this second undertaking, which is, 15 miles or more of our roads are going to be torn up if Avangrid gets its way and has all 3 of these projects land in Barnstable. So I think it's illustrates for the reader the magnitude of what we're talking about.
Hector, this is Mark.
Yep. Hi, Mark.
I have to run next door to the town council meeting in a minute, and so I just wanted to let you know that I made you the host of the meeting.
Okay.
If I leave the meeting, you'll continue to be able to meet, and the meeting will continue to record, and then you can just hit leave at the end to end the meeting. Okay.
I don't have to hit stop recording. I just hit leave.
Yeah, you could hit stop recording before you hit leave, but if you leave, it'll stop the recording automatically.
Okay. Okay.
And I just had one comment that I wanted to make on this section of the report.
Please.
I'm not sure that you include it. You want to include it in your report because this committee has never had the benefit of having a presentation on these wind projects from DPW or from other town departments. So a lot of what is said here was never presented to CFAC officially. And so I think you might be going down a rabbit hole with this section. And I get a sense from other committee members, they may not be actually be comfortable with all of this because you've never had the benefit of having a discussion with town officials about these wind projects and sewer projects. So I don't know, that's just my 2 cents worth, but it's your report. You decide what you want to do.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
Okay. Now Mark is leaving.
Well, Mark made a good point that we as a CFAC have never been briefed on the wind projects per se. I was actually going to take out the next 4 paragraphs, but I left that first sentence in just to say that there was a sewer capital decision is affected by the wind projects. And I left it at that. And then I deleted the next 3 paragraphs because that's not our job.
Well,
we understand this, I know you live in Osterville, and I've talked to people in Osterville and Centerville, and many of the residents just don't want it in their neighborhood. But that's not our job, and I'm not certain that it is appropriate for us to deal with it because we're not asked to deal with this.
Well, we're knowledgeable citizens who don't have our heads in the sand and who, it's true, we haven't had an official presentation by the town, by DPW about the wind power projects, but there is copious amounts of public information available out there in the form of town documents, filings with state agencies, and so forth. And so it's, even though we haven't been briefed, I think it's important to link the sewer project with the wind projects because the town does it. And the town, in one place, the town says, oh, we're going to have all these efficiencies from aligning the sewers with the cables. And elsewhere, the town says, the sewer, the power cable and the conduits are going to raise our costs. And so this is a financial matter that I think comes under the purview of the Financial Advisory Committee. That's my perspective. And believe me, it's not lost on me that this could be slightly controversial.
Well,
But
I
I don't want to back off simply because, nobody's made a presentation to us about the wind projects.
no one has asked us for our opinion on this. And I thought that by recognizing that the wind projects would be would impact on the sewer decisions was sufficient for us to point out. I feel very uncomfortable getting into the politics of this.
Well, it's not just politics. It's our taxpayer dollars being allocated in one way or another. So Lillian, let me just be clear. You want to delete.
I want to leave that first sentence, and that's it.
And then delete.
And then
the rest of that first paragraph, and then the three
and
paragraphs.
The rest of it, right?
And the 3 paragraphs below.
Right.
And then what?
And then I get rid of the rest of that part too. The following 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
Because I think we are tiptoeing on a very delicate situation that's political. And the town manager and town council have a very high regard for our assessment and our opinions. And we have scrupulously been objective through all of our years. And I just don't feel comfortable with this.
Okay. All right. I understand where you're coming from.
And I understand where you're coming from, but I really feel that we need to stay out of this one.
Okay. I'm interested, Lillian. I think you've made your point clear. I'm interested in hearing from Wendy and Chuck on this matter.
Yeah, so I'll, my 2 cents on this is I tend to err on the side of wanting to be a little controversial here, but I would, because I'm completely clueless about the politics involved, and I would defer highly to Mark on this. I guess on 2 fronts: A, whether it's appropriate / in our scope, and B, even if it is, whether we have a publicly disclosed basis for including the comments in the report. And so I like kind of pushing and representing reasonable, informed questions that other informed residents and taxpayers might raise, but in the right form. And I'm out of my depth to say whether or not context-wise this is appropriate for this document. I would defer highly to Mark on this, because he seems to have his finger on. I know he's very circumspect with us, and he says, look, you guys decide what you want to put in. But I wish he were still on the call, because I think he could.
Well, I think he made it very clear before he left.
You're muted, Wendy.
How could you tell I was talking?
Yeah.
We saw your mouth moving.
So I understand where you're coming from, Hector. You seem to be the most versed in a lot of this area where I'm just not as knowledgeable about the different nuances of what particularly will happen. And in that sense, I agree with Lillian in some regard, like, do we have the knowledge to be making these statements in our capacity as a committee? And maybe some of the statements could be made on a much softer basis. I'm not really sure if there's a way to cull it down and make a couple of points about making sure that all future projects will provide the financial assistance to the CWMP. I don't know if that's a good way to say it or not. But I just don't feel as knowledgeable as you. Obviously, it's in your backyard, so you know much more than I do of how these different things. And I didn't even know that some would potentially cost us money versus save us money. That's just something I'm not knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
What
So-
Mark would say is that,
So
This
can I just respond, Lillian?
Sure.
So Wendy, I take your point that I'm probably more versed in this stuff than you guys are. I am certainly willing, this paragraph in red, that is overtly political. Although again, this is all public information. Avangrid signed some power contracts with Eversource and National Grid in April, and then in September said, sorry, we want a do-over. We can't. These are 300-page contracts that took forever to negotiate, and then they want a do-over. And some in the state legislature have called for them to be tossed from the bidding. So at any rate, my point is going to be that this paragraph here, I'm willing to consider, for you all to consider the section without that paragraph. I'm willing, based on this conversation, to jettison that paragraph. But here, where we're saying there's a second major undertaking. I mean, when you step back from it, two of the biggest events to happen to this town, Barnstable, in the last 100 years are the sewer project and these wind farms. Two of the largest undertakings ever. So I think it's hard as finance people looking at financial decisions to shut our eyes to the second one of these two undertakings, these power projects.
I think what we can say is that should these wind projects, well, what Mark has said is that these wind projects are not part of the town's capital plan.
But they're intimately tied in. The town is skewing its investment decisions based on, they call it the Park City Wind sewer route.
We understand that. Just like I've got vineyard wind in my backyard.
I'm sure you do.
I've lived it for 1.5 years.
And it's not a lot of fun, I'm sure.
You bet. But I think what we can do is to reword the next sentences, saying that should these projects result in capital expenditures by the town of Barnstable, we would revisit, we would we would assess these projects or something to that effect.
Right.
But at the moment, we were asked for this particular paper to assess the capital projects recommended by the town manager. The wind projects are not part of that. But I think that we can, by using your first sentence, acknowledge that this is something very important that the town should keep in mind.
Okay, so I took out the political paragraph that was in red.
And you're going to put page 72 someplace else.
Well,
Yeah. So
my point is I took out the overtly political paragraph, and now it goes from the paragraph ending Route 6. Then I'm making some factual statements, including quoting from the document that we're supposed to be reviewing, and then pulling out from another document, which was written by our town attorney to the state MEPA agency, a conflicting statement. Both of those things can't be true. So I'm not making political comments. I'm simply stating quoting a couple of comments, both by town employees, and then in the bottom paragraph on this page, I'm reemphasizing that CFAC urges careful scrutiny of decisions to align sewer installation routes with power cables. Are they consistent with the greatest need criterion that the town, is using to justify this $1 billion for over 30 years? And then we're asking further for quantification of what these cost savings and efficiencies are. This next paragraph here, it's not clear. That is a little bit in your face, and I'd be willing to delete this as well. So let me put this in red just so it's, but maybe I could ask that you all review this language. Let me delete this.
Hector, I assume the general process, not just tied to this particular section, but the general process is going to be, you're making these edits. You're going to give it some thought, especially for the ones that are administrative and then you're going to resend so that we have something to then review and comment on at the next subcommittee.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I recognize that there's some controversial stuff in here. I just took out the 2 controversial paragraphs in my view. And then I'm back to CFAC saying, let's make sure that when we link the sewer routes to the power cable routes, when the power cable routes have been chosen by a private company, let's make sure that, the best interests of the town, of residents of the town of Barnstable are kept uppermost in people's minds. So Chuck, yes, what I would request is that we leave this yellow section in for now. Maybe we can continue on with the other sections.
Yeah.
And then we can all mull it over the next couple of days. Maybe I'll make some other edits after I mull it. But what I'm saying is that this is something we can't ignore. And Lillian, I appreciate your willingness to keep in this first sentence, but to take everything else out, we might as well just ignore the wind projects altogether.
Here's what I think you can do. I think you can take that first sentence, and then you have a last paragraph that's very thoughtful. This one. Mm-hmm. There are a host of other issues. Yeah. I think you can jump to that.
Okay.
And soften it just a little bit.
Okay,
Now, as far as the attorney is concerned, we need to go with the town manager, which is page 72. So we're not going to get into a problem with the attorney. So I would suggest that we just get rid of the attorney statement.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I
But-
hear you. So let's all think about this.
Yeah, if you just want to redraft that last paragraph and soften it a little bit, I think that would do, and then we don't have to, we made the point without hammering it.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, I hear you. And you have a lot more experience on this
yeah,
committee than certainly I do. So
okay.
let me take what you've said and Chuck said. And Wendy, do you have any parting comments?
No, there may be a sentence here or there that you might be able to take out of the other paragraphs that
Oh.
would indicate, your feelings or just some guidance with regard to, future projects. I'm not sure that's our bailiwick, but there might be a sentence or two that
Okay,
you might be able to take out and
Okay.
incorporate them someplace else.
okay.
What
Can
I-
I just ask a sort of a related question of Lillian? So Lillian, Vineyard Wind, you've been living with it for a year and a half, maybe more than that.
Oh, yes.
Do you feel like as an active, educated, concerned citizen in the town of Barnstable, do you feel that you had plenty of notice and plenty of opportunity to weigh in on the town's decision to sign up the Vineyard Wind project, which was the first of the three? Were you well aware of what the town was doing, or did you sort of hear about it after the fact, after the host community agreement was signed?
Actually, we have a West Hyannis Beach Association, and
Right,
what we did is we invited the town chief engineer and Mark Mill to our association meeting to give us an overview
Mhm.
about what would happen, what the schedule was. And so we were fairly well informed
Okay,
about, and they wanted to know the cost and when they could sign up and all of this other stuff. So it went as smoothly as possible.
what
and
went as smoothly as possible?
well, the
The-
whole
this-
the whole
the-
construction and
Okay, okay,
daily detours. Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
you feel, so it was 2018 when the Vineyard Wind host community agreement was signed. I think it was May or October. And you feel like as a citizen of Barnstable and of Hyannisport or Hyannis, whatever part of town you live in, that you were well aware of what was being planned and you were consulted and
We
And
knew what
you-
was
you
we knew what
you
was planned.
approved of
We
it.
knew what was planned. We knew
Okay.
when the possible hookups would be.
Okay.
We knew about all the possible detours and
Right.
inconveniences.
Okay.
So and actually we've had 2 or 3 meetings with the town guys
Right.
because this little neighborhood is very interested.
Okay.
for some reason.
I bet.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you one other question. Did your knowledge and of the project and your support for the project, did you, in the course of forming that view, did you evaluate the financial deal
We
that
did.
Al's and the town council was signing up for with the Vineyard Wind LLC?
What we did was I started off the whole series of meetings by giving them an overview of CWMP and its plan
Right.
and how much it was going to cost and
Right.
all the Vineyard Wind stuff. And yeah,
Okay.
so we were aware of this.
Okay, but so you were knowledgeable about the so-called, and this is the term taken directly from this HCA executed by Elves and Vineyard Wind. You were aware of and accepted the fact that there would be, quote, significant revenue accruing to the town from this
Yeah.
project.
Yes.
Do you happen to know what those dollars were?
I do not.
Okay. All right.
But I
All right.
think,
I think, go
I
ahead.
just want to stop. Just want to end this here.
Yeah,
By
I do too.
saying that
Mhm.
that preliminary sentence about the let me find it.
Up here, sewer capital spending.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I think offshore wind projects the largest ever.
Yeah.
And then move right down to your last paragraph,
Okay.
eliminating some of this other stuff, which I think might not necessarily add to the point that you're trying to make.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Apologies for spending so much time on this issue.
Well, I know how passionate you are about it.
I am passionate, and I'll save my editorial comments. I mean, I've just turned this into CFAC ease, if you will, but there's a lot more that I could say about these wind power projects, and the fact that we all support wind power. It's only a question of how these cables come ashore, and my position boiled down to its essentials, and Wendy and I have talked about a little bit about this, but not for several months, is offshore wind has onshore impacts. And for that reason, we as people who live onshore in the communities where these projects are supposed to come in, can't sort of sit idly by, whether you're just no ordinary citizens or you're a member of a town financial advisory committee. So that's my perspective, but I will take everything that you guys have said, Chuck, Wendy, and Lillian, into account. But it may be that I'll soften some of this, but then I'll want to leave it in for a full vote of the overall CFAC committee. So that's where.
Sounds like it sounds fine.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Sorry
Okay.
to take so much time.
No, it's an important project.
It is, and huge impacts on the future of Barnstable.
Okay, Wendy.
Yeah, so what I basically did on this is left the format pretty similar to how it was before, and just took the numbers. And the categories changed a little bit in the 2024 report. There were 4 categories last year, and there's 5 this year. So I just transferred those over. And then Hector asked me to include a section of Neil's emails about the recommended projects, which I did include as well. And then I left everything else pretty much the same.
Okay.
So anything that you think we should add or delete or change is fine with me. I just was kind of taking what was on paper already and transferring it into the report.
It looks good.
Okay.
And are all those numbers accurate?
I didn't proof Neil's numbers. I did take the numbers in the yellow directly from the report.
Okay.
And
So
you
it would-
highlighted them in yellow just so we would be sure to check them.
Well, no, they were highlighted in yellow already.
Okay.
So you just wanted me to update that section?
Well,
Um,
this is your section. I'm happy.
Yes, so maybe it's worth having Mark read the paragraph after it
Yeah.
for accuracy.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks good.
Yep.
I'm
Sorry, I was
glad
on mute.
I had a non-controversial section.
I just had a couple of word tweaks, and Hector, we can do that in the next round.
Why don't
Well,
we?
you can do it now.
Do it now.
Let's tackle it now.
All right, so after the table, right there, right after the number 23.
Yeah. After
in
the
middle,
number,
in the
sorry.
middle of the
number-
paragraph, go down a little,
Yeah,
over to your right. Nope, over to your left.
yeah,
Up to the number
23, yeah,
I think we can drop the word should.
okay,
Everything else is BBB.
okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And
This
then,
the last sentence needs to be tightened up a little bit in that paragraph.
yeah, I had things like get rid of amount or number of, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so-
it needs to be tightened up a little bit.
Okay, I'll just highlight it and I'll tighten it up.
Okay,
Cool, then I'm done. If you're gonna
Okay.
look at it, that's cool.
Okay,
okay, good job.
okay. When we write fiscal year, should we have a space between the Y and the year number afterwards?
I think there is supposed to be a space, Hector.
Is that right?
Okay, so we have to go back and do
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
spaces.
I'll
Okay,
I'll make it sure it's consistent. And
okay,
incidentally, where Wendy, you used Neil's nomenclature, he spelled out the dollars. I'm just gonna put 0.2 million. You know, rather than use the entire,
That's fine.
and Lillian, in your section where you expressed million in two capital M's, I'm gonna change those to. the
okay,
word.
that'll be fine.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I'll fix this.
I tried to be, I didn't know what we were gonna use. Okay,
Yeah. But we should just be consistent, whatever.
yes, yeah,
This is,
okay,
okay,
yep,
40 million. Okay, enterprise funds.
okay,
One thing we need to do here is we have, each of these paragraphs is indented, 5 spaces. But some
Oh,
of these
yes,
are
and the
not.
I
ones,
think we should have them all,
How do you indent?
flush left.
Flush left?
Yeah,
Or you
flush
want
left.
all the paragraphs to be flush left?
Well, we can decide,
Okay. Chuck or
and then you can
Wendy, do you have
decide
a
whether
view?
you want to have it first, flush right also.
Well, let's,
Yeah, I'm not used to indenting anymore. I kind of,
okay,
Yeah, I never indent.
okay, I'll go back to the whole document and put it all
Okay.
flush left, okay?
Okay,
Enterprise funds. I thought this was,
it gave you everything
Yeah.
you ever wanted to know.
yeah, so Lillian, I had a question. You start underlining some of the references, like
The reason is because,
Sandy Neck is underlined, Marina, solid
Right.
waste. Why are they underlined?
I underline them for simplicity of understanding.
Okay,
If I didn't do it, then your eyes would start to glaze over.
okay,
That's the
All right.
only reason.
okay,
I made it easier to follow, or I thought I did.
okay. All right, I just wondered,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
look
the reason.
I'll look at that again when
Yeah.
I read over the document. What is this reference here? Mass.ad?
Oh yeah, that's the mass dot air something or other. It's referenced. It's
Okay,
yeah, it's referenced under the airport. Hold on,
Okay.
let me see what if I can find it.
I didn't know Mass Department of Transportation, but I didn't know what
No,
AD was.
there is nothing is, I'm looking at it now and it says Mass DOT AD. And there's nothing, that tells me what it is.
Okay,
So, and it's throughout the document,
so
so
why don't we just say, all right, so I'll
that's,
either spell it out the first time we use it, or I'll just delete it and just use Mass Department
just
of
do
Transportation.
mass.ad as is. That's the
Okay.
way that's the way it is in
Okay.
the budget
In the
book.
airport section,
Yeah, in
right
the
up of the
airport
document.
section, yes.
Okay. And in Ralph's memory, we have finally dropped the reference to the HYCC roof. Is that right?
Yes, I did. Well, what I did with the HYCC is I said that is part of a multi-year effort
Right.
to address building a mechanical system.
Yeah.
I didn't think we needed to drag that thing in again that we've been saying for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, Chuck or Wendy on the enterprise section?
No, I think the content was very good.
I'm all set, Hector. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Comments on the 5-year plan, Chuck?
Yeah, it was just, kind of a roll up, a hair redundant with the start. But I tried to stick to the format without just, filling in new numbers this year. So basically just gives you a breakdown across the 3 general categories, compares last year's 5-year with this year's 5-year, and again, points out the impact the CWMP is having on all of us.
Yeah, I think that's a really good comparison. The only comment I have is on that paragraph that starts FY 24 to 28, line 3. I would take out the word ambitious and just leave the mandated. Unless
Chuck?
you,
Chuck, you okay with that?
Sure.
okay. I apologize. Once I get my editor hat on, I'm not dependable. I go nuts.
That's okay. We'll pull you back to earth when need be. But in general,
You can whip me next time.
in general, all your stuff is very good. Your editorial stuff is excellent, in my opinion.
Well,
Okay.
okay. Do we want to say financing for every project depends on a number of assumptions, or do we want to use the word hinges? It's right up financing. Do you see that word?
Where's that?
Finance, no, come down one more paragraph. Here, this one, financing for every project. And Chuck uses the word hinges, which is a nice word, but I'm wondering whether we want to use the word depends.
Again, no strong opinion. Fine by me.
Okay,
I like depends.
Okay.
yeah. I also want to know what organic revenue growth is.
Oh, sorry. That's so organic growth is the economic term for increased use by users or increased purchases by the market. So organic growth as opposed to just raising prices. So will we see more tourists? Will more people stay in hotel rooms? Will more people eat meals here as a result of relaxing COVID,
Gotcha.
population growth? So organic growth is just real growth in users as opposed to rate increases and or other stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now in that next paragraph where it says it's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
To forecast these assumptions. And then I get rid of like these with pinpoint accuracy. It just tightened it up tiny bit.
How about such forecast?
It is
Absolutely.
impossible to forecast assumptions.
Right.
These assumptions. It's impossible to forecast these assumptions. These.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was good.
All right. Thank you, Lillian.
Okay.
And just to be clear, Hector, I know you didn't ask me to look at concluding comments. So I wouldn't spend too much time on this, only because I think you and Lillian and Wendy should all have a crack at this before we,
Okay,
or maybe just you as the editor here, but
okay,
these were just kind of, I'm like Lillian, once I get started on this stuff, I just keep going. So
yeah,
I had some thoughts that I put in purple
Okay.
and some questions that I had in yellow and red, but this is not even close to semifinal.
okay. All right,
Okay.
well, I didn't have any strong, let me just look at my written notes here. Again, my concept for the concluding comments was that this would be driven really by the other sections. So I'm pleased that you took a crack at it, Chuck.
Yeah,
But I'm looking at my printed copy. Oh, hydrologic balances. That's a term of art that I'm not sure what that meant. Where is that?
yeah. It's the balances in the water of the various minerals and components.
Purpose.
Yeah, and if it's in green, it was part of last year. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an important component of a ecosystem and water that is working.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
Yeah, well, that's a good term.
Okay. All right.
It makes us smart. It makes us look smart.
All right. Well, I think I think that sort of concludes our review of the document. So I've got some work. I'm going to sit down this weekend and go through it, and make some of the edits, the alignment of the paragraphs, get rid of the indentation, and take into account your comments, especially yours, Lillian, about the CWMP section. And then I will, as the overall editor, I'll be circulating a version 4.
Okay.
Our next meeting is next Wednesday,
Yeah.
so I'll circulate it by Monday or Tuesday, so you all have a chance to
Okay.
scrutinize it. And in the next meeting, I think we should really we should come prepared to agree on a final subcommittee draft, including the concluding comments section that Chuck took a crack
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
Because what we'll have to do is turn around that quote unquote almost final draft into a final draft to send to full CFAC for
Right.
folks to review in advance of what is the
Let's
next.
see.
So
Yeah, we really, when we meet on Wednesday and finalize it, you need to get it to Mark so he can send it out to CFAC in time for that meeting,
right,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is Monday. So does that
which
mean
is the 27th, yeah.
that mean is there a 2-day advance notice requirement for documents? Is this posted publicly?
But Mark needs to get it all together and send
Yeah.
it to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
yeah.
gonna stop.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stop recording. Hold on one second. How do I stop recording? I don't really
You
know.
just
So
say, I think you just punch leave.
yeah.
Thank you, Hector.
All right. Thank you for all your time. Stop video.
There you go.
Yeah. So again, thank you for all your efforts and thank you for bearing with me on the CWMP section. And you're all three of you are right. It is something I feel strongly about. I feel especially strongly that we can't not mention it. It's one of the 2 biggest things going on in this town in the last 100 years. So we can't be silent on it. What we say about it is something else about it.
That's right. I agree that we can mention it, but I think we need to tread softly.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
how did I lose my? I Oh, I stopped video, but I didn't stop recording.
Oh,
It's okay, Hector. When we're done, it will
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'm glad Wendy didn't swear like usual, so that's good.
Do I usually swear?
It's a topic of discussion, I have to say.
It's well known in Katuitt.
All right,
Oh,
we'll see you
boy.
next week.
All right. Thank you all.
thanks, guys.
You
All
guys-
right, thanks,
All right.
Hector.
Take
all right.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.